Now on Who's Views, a Doctor Who fan joins JT for a little chit-chat.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Who's Views, and it's Chit Chat time. Yay! I'm very, very excited. And as you can see, I'm joined by this one here. This is Myles. So hello, Myles.
Hello, GT. Nice to meet you. This is great to be on.
Oh, listen, thank you so much for coming on. Myles, by the way, was one of the many people that have emailed in to say, oh, I quite fancy coming on and have a chit chat. So it does work. Honestly, whosviews1@gmail.com if you fancy it. It's great to see you. Really chuffed to have you here. So thank you. As you know, the show is all about you and chatting about you and you and me just having a little blether and what have you. So I'm going to start with the question I start with everybody, Myles, when they come on to chit chat is, how did you find the Doctor?
Well, yeah, so I first started watching Doctor Who when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And at the time, I was actually living in Spain. So, yeah, it was a bit different out there. And at the time, living out there with my parents, and I was like, oh, I'm not watching the rubbish they're watching. Went through to the other bedroom and popped on BBC Three, and there was Doctor Who, which was the David Tennant and Catherine Tate Science of the Library. Yeah, so that was my first ever time watching it. I only caught the last sort of 2 to 3 minutes of the end of the episodes, but hooked completely straight away. And I don't know from there how I ended up continuing watching it. I think I got the box sets, sort of series 1, and with Christopher Eccleston started off down there, and yeah, that's how it all sort of began. Was through that.
Wow. So you are one of the reboot Who fans that have come to Doctor Who. Okay, so that makes me feel really old. That's fabulous.
Totally,
have you gone back to look at original Doctor Who as well?
Yeah, so when I was younger, like I say, I started off with series 1, and then so I've got 2 mums, so they got me the sort of old DVDs and sort of like obviously Tom Baker, all that sort of stuff. And so I have watched quite a few of them. Not recently. Obviously I did watch the War Games last night in color. So
right.
yeah, I did watch that. Yeah, I did watch that. So I have dabbled in that sort of area.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that you've watched the War Games in color. Because that's aimed at you. That's aimed at your generation. That's aimed at the generation that's come up after you. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is my first ever time watching the Second Doctor sort of era. So yeah, I know.
Shocking.
I know. I do struggle with going that far back just because of sometimes it's a bit long. But I am trying. This year I will say I will try and watch them and go back. But I fairly enjoyed it. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see what you make of the original version, though.
I do now want to watch the original version to see the complete comparison between the two, because I know it was heavily cut, and then they added all that bit at the end. So yes, I'm quite interested. So I will try and do that.
Yeah, I mean that bit at the end took up an awful lot of space where they could have put some of the actual story back into it, and then there's lots of. I mean, yeah, it would be interesting to see what you think, because for me, knowing the original 10-parters as well, a hell of a lot is cut out. You would have heard me talking about this as well. A hell of a lot is cut out of this, and the story doesn't flow properly for me, because you just think, hang on a minute, that doesn't explain where that comes in, and that whole element has been cut out, and there's a really important element here that's been cut out. Oh dear. Oh dear.
I felt that, even though I've not watched the original, I did feel it was very choppy in some areas, and then it was just sort of like boom, 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 it's done, and it was I did feel it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does feel like bam, 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 bam. Oh, there you go. That's it done. And it's a shame, because the colouring I thought was lovely.
Yeah, very impressive, to be fair. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, I dread to think where they're going next. I hate to think what they're going to do to something like Tomb of the Cybermen or something like this.
I know. They're going to, though. They're going to do it.
Well, if they get the money, I can't see them.
Well, true.
I can't see them. I've said this before on the shows. I can't see them
Mm.
making money from these DVDs and Blu-rays and Steelbook sales because not everybody's
Oh.
buying them. Not everybody's appreciating them. Are you a collector? Do you buy things?
So I did when I was a lot younger. I did used to collect back in sort of Matt Smith era. I had all the action figures, and I did have a lot of the stuff, to be honest.
Mhm.
But as I got older, and I left home, so I got rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But so I did used to, but not much anymore because there's not really much to buy anymore, which is a shame. But yeah.
Yeah. And what you can get is just tat as well, actually. But,
Rubbish. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you'll be part of these these young people that got rid of their collections because I see it now all over the place in charity shops. I see people's books all about Tennant or Smith. I see their action figures from the Tennant Smith eras. I see, I've seen T-shirts and stuff like this from those. It's as though people have grown up and moved on, and they haven't
Totally.
stayed with the Doctor, which is. I think it's a real fault of the modern version, really, because we all stayed with it in the original days. Although millions of us stayed with the original stuff, and then you guys don't seem to have done.
No, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it is just through the fact that the massive decline in the show over the past sort of few years has sort of almost turned people to hate the show, and I think they've sort of gone, well, I don't really support it anymore. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. Because that's what I personally feel. I don't know.
No, I see your point, and I do think about that myself, really, to say, well, it's whether people like it or not, and the show is not as popular as it was. I mean, that's proved in viewing figures, it's proved in merchandise sales, it's proved on social media. I mean, I mean, you brought that up then, so let's talk about that. I mean, are you still watching the show, and what's your opinions of it and all this sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I am still currently watching the show. It's I won't miss it because I'm obsessed. I do love Doctor Who, obsessed with it. But I've got to say, pile of rubbish, awful.
Right.
It's really bad. And I've stuck through the Jodie Whittaker era.
Did you?
But I've got to say this is 10 times, 20 times worse than the Jodie Whittaker era. It's awful.
Wow.
It is dreadful. I mean, I can go back and happily watch any of her episodes. Well, not all of them, to be honest. But there's a few that I do quite like. And there's some moments I watch and I go, yeah, I can see the Doctor and her. Yeah, cool. But I can't see it at all with him. At all. I don't recognize the Doctor. I don't recognize the show. I don't know where we're going. The scripts, it's awful. It is purely awful. I watched the Christmas Day special, and
Go to the world.
yeah, sat down, and I have never ever laughed at Doctor Who. You chuckle with it, you laugh, with it. But I laughed. I physically laughed near the end of the episode when Joy started to hover and become when she ate the star or whatever the thing, and I actually burst out laughing, and I have never ever done that with Doctor Who, never.
I usually burst out crying in a Shooty Gatwa type way, really.
Yeah,
I mean, that scene you're talking to me, I didn't laugh. I just went, oh,
yeah,
because you
dreadful.
could see it coming, couldn't you?
Yeah, it's just so transparent. You know where they're gonna go with it. It's just, it's just totally took away from the show now. It's just dreadful, and the plot holes and everything in it is you can't. It's just not watchable anymore.
Yeah. You see, this is the version of alleged Doctor Who that they're saying is for you and the generation just below you, and that you're supposed to love all this and get it, but you obviously don't.
No, it's awful. It's
bizarre,
honestly
isn't it?
awful.
A lot of you don't, and yet it's supposed to be for you.
Yeah, it's aimed at sort of our side of the generation, and it's just terrible. It really, I don't know who it's aimed at, to be honest, because I don't think anybody's really watching it, unless apart from the diehards. or the new people that have jumped on in series 1.
What
For
new
him,
people?
yeah. Well,
There's not many.
No, there's not many at all. But gosh, I really don't know. I do not know who it's aimed for.
Do you on that subject? I mean, I've said this before. I have this personal opinion that the current people mismanaging Doctor Who, they're supposed to be looking after it. But in my philosophy, they're mismanaging Doctor Who and they're killing it day by day.
Yeah.
They're insistent, as you'll know from our shows here on headlines and our reviews and everything. It's for you and it's for the generation below you. That's what it's for. I feel that they're actually being very condescending towards you all, because when I look at things like the War Games and Colour and I look at the Shooty Gatwick series, I just think they must think that you're all thick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they truly do. They are dumbing down Doctor Who to the point where, like I say, who is it aimed for? Is it aimed for infants? Is it who? What is it? Is it 6C BBs? I don't really know who it's for now. Especially the say series 1. That was just space babies. I mean, who was that for? Who's the audience who are watching that and going, "Oh, that was fantastic. Oh, yeah, that's great." Who?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I do see the odd thing online from people that I would just think, yeah, okay, you are going to say you're going to like Space Babies because you are literally only buying into this show to keep it going for your own sake because you're frightened of it coming off the air, which is going to happen at some point. I'm absolutely convinced it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But, I just think, yeah, they're not being honest, these people, because, I mean, you saw our review. Space Babies was an absolute joke, and not in a funny way. It was just painful to watch. It was ridiculous.
It's awful. It's from start to finish. None of it makes sense. The Doctor doesn't act like the Doctor, and it's I don't know. And he kept saying space babies every 5 seconds. Space baby, space baby. Yeah, we get it. We get it. Yeah. It's not clever. It's not funny. You know what I mean? What's it aimed for? And he doesn't. Everything he does in the episodes wouldn't what the Doctor would do. They're saying that and I've got to be honest, I watched it once, so if I'm butchering all this, but the lady that was left on the ship with all these babies, I mean, she'd been there for 6 years. They had little resources, they had all this, and the Doctor wanted to go off and fight this bogey monster, but never thought, well, I'll get you off the ship first. Let's get away from this quickly, and then I'll come back and sort that out. And even that made no sense. What are you going to do with the bogey monster afterwards?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? None of it makes sense.
He rescued it, didn't he? Didn't he rescue the monster?
He rescued it. He rescued the bogey, but then what? It doesn't make sense.
Well, do you know what? I can't remember it, Myles. I watched it once, and that was more than enough.
Yeah.
It was like that for all these episodes I've watched recently. I've watched them once, and that's enough. I will never go and watch them again. I mean, you obviously stayed through series 1 in 2024, didn't you? You got through all the 8 episodes there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did. Yeah, I got through it. I got through it in the end. Yeah.
Were you like us on the panel then? Were you getting sort of wound down every week watching this thing?
Yeah, totally. I was watching you guys review it, and I was having the exact same emotions as you guys, and I just felt deflated. And like I say, and I about watching that Joy to the World, that was the most I've ever been. It finished, and I just sat there, and I thought that was an embarrassment. Yeah, stunned isn't even the word. It was just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Could not believe what I had just watched.
It's a shame, isn't it, really? I mean, we've had lots of people in our chat, as you'll know, and us as well on the show, being able to say that as fans, there seems to be a hell of a lot of us that want this thing taken off the air because it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, it needs to take a break. It really does. Go away. I mean, look at even Gavin and Stacey. I know you guys have touched on that recently, but the viewing figures for that, I heard it on the radio the other day, 20-something million they got in the end, the most watched thing in 20 odd years, and they had a break. They were off the air from 2019 till just gone, so 5 years. Maybe go and take a 5-10 year break and have a look at yourself and come back.
Well, it worked last time because the show was off for 15 years during my lifetime, and it worked
Yeah,
beautifully. Because yeah, I'd just be very worried now about who they would give it to actually ever bring it back. And I agree
yeah,
with you, though. I think it does need to break between 5 and 10 years so that the industry itself can settle down and get
yeah.
rid of all this nonsense that's around it, and bring back a good, solid science fiction drama, which is a science fiction drama. But I'd be very
Mhm.
worried about who would take it on next. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't think of
Yeah.
anybody right now that I would trust it with.
Well, I thought I could trust Russell when, Jodie was, announced Jodie was leaving and
Yeah.
Chibnall and all that, and we heard Russell was coming back, and I thought, thank God he's coming back.
Well, you weren't alone.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought this is going to be great. Actual Doctor Who is going to come back. Um, you know, and Ncuti, I wasn't sure on him. I didn't. I know he was in Sex Education, but I'd never really watched it, so I didn't really know what his sort of thing. But everyone was saying on comments that he's a fantastic actor. He's this. He's this. He's this. I thought, well, great. This is going to be fantastic.
Mm.
And I didn't really get a full gauge, obviously, during the 60th about him. But as soon as
Oh,
that first episode came along with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, I thought, oh no,
did
we're in
you?
trouble. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in trouble. When we got to
Mm.
the end and the
Mm.
whole Rose and all that, I thought, oh gosh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when the alarm bells started to go off a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the second episode.
Which one was
I
that?
thought, oh gosh, what was even the name for it? I
Oh,
don't
it's the
even
one I
know.
keep calling the Deep Blue Sea, and it's not the Deep Blue Sea. Um,
Gosh.
I don't know why I keep calling it the Deep Blue Sea. Because it's something like that, isn't it? I can't even remember
Yeah.
what it's called now.
Something.
Everybody will be shouting at us now,
Yeah.
Miles, what the episode
We'll,
title. It was
we'll
that
be, yeah.
forgettable and
It
that
was.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it truly was. They were calling us stupid and everything. So-called fans. But
Not of this
yeah,
version, though. That's my
yeah,
defense. Not of this version. This
true,
version doesn't count.
true. Wild Blue Yonder.
Well done, you. That's why I keep calling it Deep Blue
There
Sea.
we go. Yeah, it came to me in the end. Wild Blue Yonder. That's
Well
it.
done, you.
Yeah, yeah. I did enjoy that, to be fair.
Did you?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Well, it was better than the first episode anyway, which isn't saying much. And
No.
then, yeah, then the third episode came and then it just completely flopped again. By Generation and all that
Oh
rubbish, and
no.
it leaves open a huge door, and now it becomes very confusing when you get to future episodes like Joy to the World, where he spends a whole year on
Yeah.
planet Earth when David Tennant's around the corner with a TARDIS.
Hmm.
What, like, you've ruined it. You've
Hmm.
just butchered your own storylines. They can't even remember them.
Yeah. No,
They
I
can't
agree
remember
with
them
you.
at all.
Agree with you. I mean, the only thing I remember about the giggle is that the setup was quite good. It was
Mm,
quite mysterious. It was sort of serious drama again,
yeah.
and then it just all went pear shaped when they got to the big unit tower. For me, that's when I sort of, and that by regeneration. Every time somebody mentions by regeneration, I just go, oh, for crying out loud,
Yeah.
because what a load of nonsense that was, eh?
Yeah, total rubbish. And then for
Yeah.
Russell to come out and go, "Oh well, I like to think that it happened to all the doctors, and that all the doctors
Oh,
are out there nowadays." And no, you're just creating plot holes, and you're just no, don't touch it.
I
Just
know.
leave it where it is.
Yeah. I mean, you'll know my opinion of Russell right now as well. I'm not impressed
Yeah,
with him at all.
no,
Do not like him right now.
yeah,
And there's this whole thing where I'm actually thinking as well that when it comes to things like the bi generation and all this sort of stuff and what he's been doing and the way he's looking at all this, for me, he just seems to be taking the work of lots of other people
mm.
and peeing on it from a great height. Frankly, what's your opinion about what he's doing with all these, and all the other doctors are around now? I mean, where are you coming from all this?
I don't like it. Like I said, I don't like that he's left this open, and that I feel like he's honestly going to come back to it if he has the opportunity. I mean, he might not, but I
You
think he's
reckon?
gonna. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely think he'll come back to it 100% because he has to. Now that he's left the door open, he has to come back to it.
Wow.
And I think he's got plans. There was rumors that he had plans for the doctors to come back in some way, shape, or form. I heard, but I don't like it. I'm not a fan of Russell anymore. I think his views and his opinions and matters, and where you know the worst people on earth because we're bashing on Doctor Who and all. What are you doing? What happened to Russell from back in the day when he was writing the good Doctor Who? What happened to him? Where did he go? Why do you hate all the fans? And he does. He blatantly hates us all. He's obviously, he says he's not catering towards us. He's catering for new fans,
which aren't there.
Which don't exist.
He doesn't seem to understand that to have brand new fans, you need to retain your older fans, because the majority of those older fans tend to have children, and they will bring their children to Doctor Who. As happened with my generation. A lot of my generation, of course, had kids, and they brought their children in the 90s via UK Gold and the videos to Doctor Who. Those children are now older. Some of them have now got kids. They don't necessarily bring all their kids, and if it is Doctor Who, they'll bring it to older Doctor Who. And we've had people on our show on Who viewers coming into the chat saying they will watch Doctor Who first these days before they even allow their children anywhere near it, and I find that a great shame, because that's not what Doctor Who was, and that's what RTD's made it into.
Yeah, he's made it so, the word we use nowadays is toxic, and it is. He's made it very, very toxic to watch. It's just horrible. It really is. And you see him, moaning that we're all horrible people, and we're, phobes and this and that and those, and it's, well, what are you doing? It's like he's actually come back to Doctor Who to actually just cancel it. That's what it feels like.
He's scaremongering a lot, I feel, as well. He's really jumped onto this whole nonsensical approach of, if you don't agree with the way I agree and my friends agree, then you are an istophobe or a not.
Yeah.
And that seems to scream through the writing. Well, I say the writing, the alleged writing of those episodes he's done so far.
The attempt. Yeah.
It's a great shame, I think, and it's disgraceful that he's taken Doctor Who with him, because it now has such a bad reputation.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's terrible. And like I say, when I knew the 60th anniversary was approaching, I got my mum's involved. I was like, we're gonna have a 60th anniversary party, because obviously, I'm a huge, Doctor Who fan, crazy. And so I got my mum, back in. She used to watch it back, Tom Baker, and all that stuff. So we watched a couple of previous sort of stuff. I was like, this is what you need to sort of catch up on with, Catherine Tate and stuff like that. And sat down, and I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was really, really embarrassed.
Yeah.
And it shows you how bad Joy to the World was, where that they both fell asleep. Like,
I don't blame them.
Gone.
Yeah. I was nearly asleep myself at one point. I did, because it was so dull and boring. I was nodding off a little bit.
It felt so long, and it just felt like it was going nowhere. I mean, like I say, we know what the end thing was going to be from the beginning, We knew the plot. It was just dreadful. Really was.
They could have surprised us by actually giving us a story, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could. And like I said, I just don't believe. Like I said, I don't believe in this, that he would have spent a whole year staying at this hotel, mopping floors and serving people dinner. And it's what? Who's this person you're trying to say is the Doctor? That doesn't happen.
No. That's like you mentioned before. The fact is that the allure of having a living, breathing TARDIS down the road would have been too much for him. He would have popped onto that and got it. He would have. I mean, they just don't think about these massive plot holes that they've created in the show. Because he would have done. He would have been there 10 minutes, if that, and that's to walk down to wherever the house is and get the TARDIS.
Yeah, and they could have even acknowledged it and said that, they could have gone that he went down there, but oh no, David and the TARDIS aren't there. They've gone off on a wee adventure, whatever. They could come up with something, but it's just pure laziness. Absolutely lazy.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, they can't even use the whole. They can't cross the timeline thing now when it comes to that Shooty Gatwa's Doctor and the previous Tennant version, because they both exist at the same time. So they can't even use that old, I can't cross my own personal timeline thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
it's just stupid, isn't it? It really is. They just haven't thought it through. I reckon Russell wanted to do something for the 60th and for himself as well. Say, oh, we're doing something different for a Regeneration. We need to do something different. And the fact that they're using all this golden stuff all the time now makes it all look the same. I mean, they've been doing that for nigh on 20 years, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, and that's what made, the classic Doctor Who Regeneration special. Is
Yeah.
they were all different in their own way, and they all had different effects, and I mean, it made it unique, a Regeneration back then. It's just
Yeah.
all the same now. It's just all
Yeah.
the same. And
Yeah.
it's just rubbish. And then every time they regenerate, they got to blow up the TARDIS, and it's just like, oh god, we're not doing this again, are we?
It does
It's
get
just
repetitive.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's just nothing special about it anymore at all.
That's what happens when you have a showrunner dictating what can and can't be done as the look at the show. Because, of course, back in the original series, it was down to the directors how they wanted the Regeneration to look. The producers had nothing to do with it, really.
Yeah.
So it was down to the directors to say, right, this is how I want it. The most famous one being Graham Harper when he directed Davison and Baker for the Caves of Androzani. He was even involved with the fabulous score for the incidental music, where he said, I wanted it to be like the Beatles, this noise going up and up and up, and it pulls off when you watch Cave of Androzani 4. It's all there.
So it's a brilliant Regeneration. It's a fantastic one. Yeah.
And they're all off their day as well. Whereas today you can't tell what year it was made or how the effects were at the time, because it's all the same golden nonsense, which is overused. I don't know what you think about that as a fan new to Doctor Who through the reboot version, but I feel the Regeneration stuff is totally overused in the show.
Yeah, like I said, the gold that gold effect thing is just it's like I say, from when you go from the classic Who to now, how can what I mean? It's just the same glow, and then they did it for the War Games. They've now the glow's back again.
Yeah.
And they did it for the first Doctor and the Capaldi last
Did they?
episode.
I've never seen that one. I've never seen it.
Capaldi's Regeneration. They had William Hartnell. First Doctor going to the TARDIS, and the glow comes, and it's just the glow. And so they're kind of now rewriting what has come before for no reason. Doesn't need touched, doesn't need changed.
No.
People love it for what it is.
Yeah.
But like you say, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I can see them having an attempt to redo them all at some point. Even the classic one from Logopolis, my favorite one.
Yeah. It will happen. It will happen. Well, if the funding's still there to continue something like that down the road. Yeah.
That's an excellent topic, that one, isn't it? Because this is going to be the year we find out, of course, 2025, when we're talking now. This is going to be the year we find out whether or not it's going ahead. And where we're sitting right now, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because nothing's been announced right now as we're talking. We've got no Christmas special in the can for 2025.
No.
We've got a series that's coming. We've got 8 episodes on the way for this thing. I take it you'll be coming back for these 8 episodes that are due?
I'll have to. Even though it will probably be torture, and it'll probably be dreadful, but I will say, the trailer looks interesting, so it has enough to sort of hook me in.
All right, tell me more.
Yeah, I think it looks very interesting. I don't really know what is going on, but I kind of want to see where this sort of goes, and I think it might be good. But then I thought that with Series 1 trailer looked interesting, and that went nowhere as well. So yeah, I don't know, but it does look for what? Well, how long was it? Like 15, 20 seconds?
It's about 15 seconds,
yeah.
Not really a trailer, it's sort of a teaser, isn't it?
We clip, essentially.
I think it's going to fall down on its face because nobody was watching it.
Yeah, I think that's where they are gonna suffer big time when it comes to the viewing figures and stuff like that for this second season. And like you say, you got nothing to look forward to. They can't even give us a release date. They can't even say when it's coming. You know what I mean? So you can't even get the general public to go, oh well, okay, Doctor Who's gonna be back on in May or something like that. You don't know when it's coming, and it's very secretive, and you don't know what's happening. So yeah, I don't know, but I will be back to watch it. I will have to watch it. I have got a feeling it's going to be the exact same as Series 1 because they or Season 1, however they want to say it nowadays, because they filmed it back to back.
Yeah.
So I have got a feeling it's going to be the exact same, but maybe we might be surprised. Probably not.
I'd be
Probably not.
a huge surprise, I
Yeah.
tell you. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking about there as well about release dates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
RTD has more or less said it's going to be in May this year.
Yeah.
And then you've mentioned the public. Do you really think the public in the United Kingdom is interested in this thing?
Oh gosh, no. Absolutely not. They've completely fallen out of love with Doctor Who, and I don't think it helps that you don't see it anywhere. Like say back in the day, you had all the figures and DVDs and all the merchandise that used to be in stores. You don't see that, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They lob them on B&M, shelves if you can find them at any point. And yeah, like you don't see it anymore. So I think the public really does not care anymore. I think they'll view into the first episodes and have a wee look, and it'll probably be rubbish, and they'll turn it off.
That's interesting. You said I can't even see them tuning in for the first episode because they didn't bother with Christmas. They didn't bother with life, and because the show gets such bad publicity now on sources which are not the BBC.
Yeah.
And because the rise of the Tube of Who, for example, and commentators like all of us and stuff like that, and we're all having our say. I think the public generally hears about all that. Because even people that are not Doctor Who fans are criticizing Doctor Who. I see. I'm sure you're the same. I see a lot on the Tube of Who. Right? I get this recommendation of somebody I've never heard of and isn't a fan who goes on about, have you seen this in Doctor Who? And then there's something like 43,000 views, and you just think that's not 43,000 Doctor Who fans.
Oh no, gosh, no, no.
Yeah.
So I do think they've fallen out of love with it. But like I say, it doesn't help when you've got Russell saying that everyone's horrible and nobody should be watching it. This isn't for you. I hate when people say that the Doctor Who is not for you. It should be for everybody. It's a family show. It's for everybody to watch. Your granddad, your dad, your uncle, the kids. It's for everyone. And I don't like that modern Doctor Who now has this spin on it. It's not for you. But that's not inclusive. That you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that nowadays. It's not nice just to say that to someone.
Well, especially when you could be my age or older, and you've been supporting it forever. A lot of us, of course, as you'll be aware, supported it through 15 years off the air.
Yeah,
which is why it was successful when it came back, because we were all there for it. And then this whole thing about Doctor Who's no longer for you actually started when Chibnall came in and Whittaker came in.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, you'll know I've not seen that era and will never. Not interested in it at all. But did you start feeling these sorts of things as that era started to progress? Did you suddenly say, actually, they're telling people not to watch?
Yeah, it was a very weird time throughout her sort of run. Right. It was very strange. That's when it started. The rot, I think, started to come in definitely during then, where it's not for you. They were sort of really aiming it away from the straight white men, as they all like to sort of say, and it was very weird, even to the things of Jodie's costume, which has a lot of sort of the multicolors, which everyone associates with pride and stuff like that.
Do now. Yes,
it was very in your face that this is not for the old fans. This is for new fans. And like I said, I watched all of Jodie's sort of run. There's a few episodes that I actually quite like, and there's some that are dreadful, completely dreadful. And yeah, I mean, but I would take Jodie Whittaker back over Ncuti currently at the minute, and I know that's probably a very big statement. Everyone's going to go, "Oh gosh, he's stupid," but I honestly would, because at least some of her episodes were a little bit palatable compared to his.
Is that down, do you think, to performance or the writing?
But both. They both suffered with the same issue. They both suffered the same issue. Writing was terrible, and the overall acting was quite bad. Jodie Whittaker is sort of like, she came in and I think they told her not to watch previous Doctor Who.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
They went, don't watch, that's stupid. Why would you not do your research? Why would you not? You know what I mean? You're going into a role that is, like, say, it's been around, well, during her time, probably about 55 years, why would you not get some research on it? But you can tell that she must have somehow done a little bit of research, because she was sort of playing David Tennant and Matt Smith.
Well, that was the Doctor she knew on the telly. She had
Yeah.
seen Tennant and Smith episodes as a viewer
Yeah.
on broadcast, allegedly, so I hear. So that's where she was getting her idea of what the character was. But she certainly, yes, you're right. She was certainly told not to go back and watch any of the original Doctors or anything like that.
No, which I really don't know why, but she clearly had seen some of them. So she was just sort of playing David Tennant, Matt Smith sort of cross. And she was just all ooh, and just very excitable and sort of all over the place. But yeah, she suffered with writing, which was, it didn't help that they gave her 3 companions off the bat, and all 3 of them are pretty much just cardboard. They didn't really have any, progression, any story. We didn't really know anything about them, to be honest.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I think the only one was the only decent one was Graham, which was Bradley Walsh, which he was actually the only decent person in there, because he was actually giving some acting performance. Whereas the other 2, gosh, they were just always in the background and had 1 or 2 lines to sort of say. It's like almost like Chris Chibnall forgot they were actually there and thought, oh gosh, I gotta get them lines.
Probably did.
Yeah, completely. But yeah, and I think Ncuti's having the same issue, but with his writing. But I just still don't see him as the Doctor. There's not been a single moment since he's popped up on the screen that I've gone, oh yeah, he's the Doctor. You can see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it at all.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. I mean, I usually see the Doctor almost immediately when a new actor takes over, and that I did that with Davison. I did that with Colin Baker. It took me a little longer with McCoy because Time in the Rani wasn't the best. I saw it immediately with McGann. I saw it with Eccleston quite early on in his run. It took me a while to warm to Tennant. Smith I thought was phenomenal, and Capaldi, I knew as soon as he got the role, I knew the Doctor was safe with him. But with Gatwa, to this day, I'm like you, and I've said it on the show, haven't I? I don't see the Doctor there at all. Not one else. That's not my Doctor. My Doctor doesn't go around crying and blubbing and talking about people being honey. I mean, come
honey,
on.
babes,
all that nonsense language that RTD obviously seems to think that people today talk, and it's not people today. It's his little cult that talk like that.
His little bubble of people. Yeah.
I mean, a Time Lord wouldn't talk like that.
No, this is someone who is, thousands of years old. We're not quite sure anymore because it keeps changing all the time. But it constantly changes, so you can never catch up on it. But this is someone who's thousands of years is a Time Lord, who's so smart and intelligent, and is then going around calling everyone honey and babes. And that's modern language. He wouldn't talk like that. That's just not him. You know what I mean? Could you imagine Christopher Eccleston going around calling everyone honey and babes?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What are you talking about?
Blank, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd be like, "What are you actually talking about?" It's awful. And like I say, when the shoot, it just doesn't feel like I say, straight away, every Doctor, I've gone, yeah, straight away, you're the Doctor, absolutely. He hasn't took control any episodes. I don't think he's even saved anybody. I don't think he's done anything Doctorish at all. I can't even think of anything. Who's he saved? Normally the plot just sort of fixes itself for him.
No, you're right. I can't think of any but the stories have not been those sort of massive, big, traditional Doctor Who style stories where there has been a civilization or a planet that needed saving. I mean, because the stories that RTD seems to want to go for now are very weak and lackluster, soap opera style, nonsensical, whimsical. There's no real threat in any of the episodes now either, because he obviously feels that your generation and the one below you shouldn't be frightened or terrorized in any way. I mean, did you remember when it came back? We talked about this on our headlines last year, and also in our review of the year on headlines, where he had come out and said he was very aware that young people today are very anxious, and he didn't want to add to that. Well, then just take the show off the air, because that's the whole point of Doctor Who, to be slightly scared.
God, what's the point in carrying on then? there's all this anxiety and all this. What are we talking about? It's bloody Doctor Who. It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be on the edge of your seat when watching it, and you
Behind the
don't get
sofa.
that. Yeah, that it was it behind the sofa, hiding behind your pillow. That's what Doctor Who is supposed to be, and it's not been like that for quite a while. Where was even the monsters this in season one? Where were the boogie monster, the little bogey thing, and what else?
I honestly can't. Oh, we had Sutek, didn't we? He was supposed to be a monster, but wasn't. That was just a very bad CGI doggy.
Terrible.
I suppose the new versions, of course, of what he would term the baddies. I mean, I genuinely believe he can't use monsters anymore in case somebody has some sort of panic attack.
Oh, definitely, or needs some sort of help, psychiatric help, or something. I think, totally. I don't think absolutely. And this is why he's going down this god sort of route of all these gods turning up. Definitely think that's why he's going away from the monsters. Or I just think he's maybe run out of ideas, and he just doesn't. Well, I know he's run out of ideas, but he can't think of a good monster. I think he's.
I don't think he ever could. When you look at his original stuff, though, I'm sorry, the Sardine. Everybody remembers the Sardine. He came up with the Sardine. What else did he come up with? The Ood are not a monster. They're a character.
No.
They're a character. What else did he come up with? What are his monsters? I can't think of anything offhand.
Generally can't. I mean, the Weeping Angels. That was Moffat, was it not? So and they were fantastic. Oh gosh.
You had the Jadoon, but they're forgettable.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, they're hardly a threat, really, are they?
I mean, it's this whole thing about him saying, "Oh, Doctor Who's going more into the fantasy route now," but that's not really what Doctor Who's about. When you're coming up with things like this pantheon, which of course it looks like that whole storyline is going on again into series 2 because it's mentioned in that teaser thing. But any more drag queens, I couldn't possibly.
Gosh, yeah, that wasn't great. That was not good. No, that was just why do we need to go down that sort of, you know what I mean?
Because it's RTD in the BBC. There's a drag queen on everything on the BBC. You've got to have one now. That's what your license fee pays for.
Yeah, it's just terrible. And that episode was awful. And the worst thing about it is that he then takes out the sort of, like I say, we're talking about obviously, the understanding of these things. So I've seen a lot of deleted scenes from season 1 that he actually took out. And a lot of it explains certain things that he, for some reason, decided he wanted to take out of the episode. So like I've got one example is the whistle at the end of the of season 1. That whistle he finds in the memory TARDIS, or the remember TARDIS, whatever it's called.
See, I've completely forgotten it now.
Yeah, well, he just ends up with this whistle, and all of a sudden it's able to program the TARDIS to come out underneath Sutek. The deleted scene is that he actually later on, when he gets the TARDIS back, he actually drops it through the TARDIS floor and gives it to Shooty when he's in the remember TARDIS, and that's why it all sort of makes sense of how he was able to use it at the end.
Oh yes, because it was hanging up on the ceiling, wasn't it?
Yeah, he went like that and took it, but that, and then later on uses it to somehow control the TARDIS, and you went, well, how did that happen? The deleted scene actually shows how it happened. So why take that out of the episode? Why do it?
Because they're clueless, obviously.
It's why are they leaving you? And it's same for that, as you say, the Devil's Bore. When they all start singing and dancing at the end, there's no reason behind it.
Thanks for reminding me of that. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, but in the deleted scene, it explains the reason why they start singing and dancing is because of the leftover energy from him taking away music, and when it comes back, it suddenly makes everyone have a jingle again and have a little song and dance.
Oh, so they're like sort of exercising it out of the atmosphere or something.
Yeah, it explains why they did the song and dance. Yeah, but it at least gives you something to sort of go off, rather than randomly they just thought, oh, there's always a twist at the end, and started singing and dancing.
Yeah. Do you know what grates me about that? I mean, there's so many things that grate me about this version of it, but that whole thing where these alleged fans are coming out saying, oh, that was incredible and it was brilliant. It really winds me up. I think you obviously do not know what Doctor Who is. Can you
ever think they're actual fans?
Eh?
I don't think they're actually fans. They can't be. They can't
I
be.
think they're fans of. I think they're more fans of representation
Yeah,
and labels and stuff like that. I think
totally.
that's the minority that watch it now. And surely deep down, they must be watching this thinking this is really. But I just see so many people on social media commenting saying, "Oh, this is great, this is brilliant," and honestly, I think part of it is an insecurity of not wanting to admit it's terrible because they're frightened it's going to come off the air.
Totally. I think there's people that really I think they're really worried that it's going to go soon. I think they're really, really worried, and I think, okay, we've got to support this somehow. So let's just say it was fantastic, and it just really isn't. It just isn't. How could
No.
you imagine watching going from an episode, my favorite Tenet episode, Waters of Mars, going from that to then watching one of Shooty's episodes? I mean,
Well, you
it's
can't, can you?
completely. What is it? It's just alien. It
Yeah,
doesn't. It's just not the same.
yeah, yeah. No, well, it's and when you compare, as I can do because I've been around longer, you compare
Yeah.
it to something like Inferno or Spearhead from Space, or
Yeah.
even from Baker, The Ark in Space, Terror
Yeah.
of the Zygons. There's no comparison to this thing at all. I mean,
No.
it's such a shame that they've really, really watered it down and trounced on it. But it's interesting to hear that. I mean, as I say, you're the audience that they're aiming all this nonsense at,
Yeah.
and the one below you. But a lot of you just are not happy with it at all. You can see through it.
Yeah, it's fed up, completely fed up of this new show, because it's just not Doctor Who. They might as well just take the Doctor Who logo out of it completely. The only thing that's recognizable is the TARDIS.
Oh, but if they did
Uh,
that, you see, they wouldn't be able to sell it properly.
well, yeah, true,
I mean, I know
true.
it's failing now, even with the name on it. But if you did that, it'd be a totally different show. That wouldn't get picked up by any network at all.
No, no, they wouldn't touch it. They would
No,
not touch it at all.
they're not brave enough to do their own thing in this style. Not a
Yeah,
chance. They have to badge it as Doctor Who, and then people go, "Oh, that's going to be good." It wouldn't. Imagine if this was a new science fiction fantasy series. It wasn't called Doctor Who, but it was the same stories, the same scripts, the same cast, a lot. It just wasn't called Doctor Who. It didn't have a police box in it, and it didn't have the theme tune.
yeah.
It wouldn't be even getting the 2 million it's getting now.
No, I don't think it would get aired. I don't think the commission would even go through, because it's awful.
Yeah.
It really is. But I think people are afraid of saying it's awful in case of getting cancelled, especially the celebrity side of things. I think they're really, like, that's why they're all coming out to say, "Oh, it's amazing, it's great, it's that," because they're afraid,
Yeah.
totally afraid.
I'm expecting meltdowns when the day comes.
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah. But I think it does need to go. It does, and it's sad because we all love it. Not this new series, but we love Doctor Who,
Mhm.
and it'll be sad to see it go off air. But it needs to. If Russell, who, like I say, it brought so many fans, even myself, new fans to the show back in the day,
Mm.
if he can't pull it off now, then who
And
can?
he hasn't either. We have to face that fact. It's been spectacularly ridiculous, and he's really messed it up. And to suit his own agendas, maybe, and stuff like that. I just think, why would you want to do that to a show that you say you love? And it's very obvious to me when I see him on stuff now. He's obviously aware this isn't being successful.
Oh, he knows. Of course he knows. He knows it's not taking off, but he's going to sit there and go, "It was fantastic. It was this. It was amazing." Because he has to,
Yeah,
because he's
he's doing
getting
a
his
sell.
paycheck. Yeah. Yeah, he's taking his paycheck, and when it gets cancelled, he'll run off, and he'll still say it was fantastic. But it's just dreadful. It really, really is dreadful. And I just don't see it.
In 2025, we're not only getting season 2 of this thing, but we're allegedly getting this spin-off as well. What do you make of all that?
Oh God, who wants it?
Who
Who
wants
wants it? Who wants that? I just want Doctor Who. I just want to watch proper Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Who wants this spin-off, really? I mean,
Yeah.
if it's anything than what we're watching now, it's in the same league. It's rubbish. It's
Do
going
you
to
know
be
that
rubbish.
RTP has said this is the best thing he's written in years? And I just think, what a
Oh,
stupid thing to say when your main show's just finished production and you've still got a
oh,
second series to come. What an absolutely idiotic thing to say.
I can't believe it.
Keep your mouth shut. Tell that to your mates and your production team, but don't be going on record to be able to say this is the best thing I've written in years, because it actually just proves that the 2 series of Doctor Who you've just done are rubbish.
Yeah, Totally. Why can't you put that energy into Doctor Who then?
Well,
Like,
we'll
you
soon
know,
find out if it is the best thing he's ever, because we're going to be looking at it, of course. We're all going to be there looking at
yeah,
these 5 episodes of this thing. And we're all, I certainly will be looking at it with very critical eyes.
yeah, completely. Like, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes and see where all these sort of plot holes are going to maybe get fixed, but I don't think they will.
I don't think they will in the spin-off one at all. I think that's going to be genuinely. I don't know. I've got no expectations for it at all. Apart from I think it's going to be bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, from what we've just watched, I have no sort of expectations at all. I think Mrs. Flood's character is just going to flop. I
Oh,
don't think it's going to be
in
any.
series 2, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it's going to totally flop. It's going to totally flop completely. Yeah, it's not going to be. I mean, if you know, think how much hype he was building around Ruby's mum, and then at the end he sort of went, you lot are stupid. She's only important because you think she is. What?
Yeah, I don't
What are
remember
you
that.
talking about? What?
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
snow. Literally, it was snowing in the TARDIS. How can it not be important? What are you talking? Oh God, he just frustrates me. He really, really does.
Yeah, and for such I'm going to use the word allegedly, a good writer like him who has had years' worth of experience. I mean, I've got to that point now where I look back at all these things he's written, and I genuinely think it's a one-trick pony, because all he can write is glorified soaps. You look at something like he did in 1999, which is Queer as Folk, which launched him properly. But everything else has been a clone of that. Doctor Who comes along and he's built on the work of others, right? He's now moved it on when he comes back here now, and building on the work of Chibnall in a sense, really, with bringing too much of his own agenda into it. And he's just shown to me, I don't know what you think about this, but he's shown to me he's not actually that good a writer.
No, I don't think so. No, this has proved it completely. This is completely, this has proved it 100% that he's terrible. And it's time for him to retire, I think. Time to go away and leave Doctor Who alone. It's time to go away now. We don't want you. You've proved that you can't give us anything good from it. It's time for you to go and write something else. Go and write something else that you can put your agendas into. Leave Doctor Who alone.
And nobody will watch those.
Oh gosh, no. Who's going to watch that?
Well, I've got this theory now, is where we are in 2025 now, chatting away. He's out of date already, and a lot of the people around him are also out of date, because the world has changed and is continuing to change right now as we speak. I mean, as we're speaking right now, Britain is in the grasp of this incredible and outrageous, very sad, angry country, because of what's been going on in real life, and all this sort of stuff, all this news that we're getting, and all this hypocritical stuff from politicians and from, yes, of course, all this, and it's tying into all the other stuff that we've had to deal with through last year. The world is changing because a certain person's coming back into the presidency of the United States of America. He seems to have had a ripple effect around the world, where people are adjusting to the fact. We've just had this week, of course, the news on Facebook and Meta about what they're going to be doing now, which is outrageous. A certain number of people that I'm sure would support Russell T Davies's Doctor Who. But I'm actually very, very interested to see how dated Doctor Who series 2 is, and this spin-off that they've done beforehand is when it's broadcast.
Yeah, and that's the problem with them writing it back to back.
Yeah,
that's the problem. And like I say, he hasn't had any feedback. What I mean? He didn't see any of the feedback from season 1 because he's done it back to back. So that's why I know season 2 is just going to be the exact same continuation of the same rubbish with the same agenda. And absolutely,
the same mindset. Oh, I totally agree with you. It's a case of like, I mean, the whole. I mean, he's already started to write the. Series 3. He's living on a real hope there, isn't he? I mean, we've had this last year. He has started to write episodes for Series 3, and he's in that same frame of mind. So if by some miracle there is a Series 3, he needs to go back and rewrite those episodes, because the world has changed and it's not the world he wants to be part of for once. He's now going to be feeling what we've all been feeling, with his people dictating to us what we can and cannot do, where the world seems to be coming, hopefully, to some sort of semblance of, well, let's bring common sense back and let's bring some sort of sanity back here.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's writing season 3, I don't know what, Doctor Who's been watching, but we don't want it.
No.
We really don't want it, especially if he's giving it a right. No, we don't want it at all. No. Give
What
it
do you
to
make of
someone else.
this whole Whoniverse thing that they tried to launch? Do you think it's worked?
Oh gosh, no, it's horrible now when you see it when it comes up before an episode. It's terrible. It's sort of like he tried to take on sort of because obviously Disney got involved. He sort of tried to become Marvel a little bit with the especially the little intro and all that stuff. No, it's not worked at all.
And Star Wars.
And and Star Wars, yeah.
It's embarrassing, really, for a British show. With the Star Wars thing, they can get away with it. They can even get away with it Marvel. But then this whole Whoniverse logo thing comes up. I just cringe. I think, what is that? What is that?
Yeah, it really is. It's dreadful when you see it pop up on the screen before an episode now, and it just hasn't worked. It just really hasn't worked.
Showing that? Did they show? I don't recall seeing it at Christmas Day.
I don't know, but when I played the War Games yesterday, it did pop up.
Yeah, it pops up on the iPlayer, doesn't it? Yeah. I noticed that myself because I thought, oh, they've changed it again. But I don't remember seeing it on BBC One.
Oh, I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure. Say again. I was bored before the titles kicked in.
yeah. Just totally sort of. It's unforgettable. Because it's just terrible. It's totally just. It's just terrible. You just forget it. Like I say, I've only watched it once, and I couldn't go back again. I could not go back and watch it again.
You couldn't. No. Wow.
No, there's no way. There's really no way. And that was Moffat, who has given us quite a few good Christmas stories. He gave us the Christmas Carol, which was really good. And he can't even write either now by the looks of it. So it really is done. It is done. 100%.
What would it take? I mean, considering that you and, as I say, your generation and the generation below, I personally don't think there's enough of you to ensure Doctor Who has a future in the future. I just don't think there's enough of you there that are interested, like we all were. We lived through 15 years and helped to make it successful when it came back. I don't think that personally. I can't see that being repeated, Myles, because there's not enough of your generation there ready to welcome back a Doctor Who, which is going to just be proper science fiction. There'll be a minority there who will want it to be exactly what it is now and why it's failed. Because I don't think they're going to grow up. And I just don't think the public would welcome it back in 10 years' time either. That's my personal opinion. But what would it take for you to support any sort of further rebirth of Doctor Who in the future?
New writer. Get like as Christmas, sack Russell, get him out the door, get rid of Shooty. Bye. Regeneration. See you later. None of this bye Regeneration. Actually get rid of him. Bye. And give us an actual good actor for once. Give us someone that is actually decent. And that's what it would take for me to continue. I think we really need to slam on the brakes here and go, bye. See you later, because you're clearly not helping. And the BBC wants it to continue. It was a money maker for them. But that's what it takes for me to continue watching. And
what about production techniques and the style of the show? Would you welcome back hour-long episodes? Would you welcome back the showrunner format? What would you like to see there?
I don't know. I think the 8 episodes sort of style. I think take it up to 10.
Bearing in mind that we could be looking at 10 years in the future as well.
True. That is very true, actually. Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, the 3 special wise, maybe you could do sort of like an hour long sort of specials and make them maybe an hour long or so. Yeah, maybe. I don't feel like the only problem is that the length of the episodes at the moment, and it probably is due to the writing. I don't think it has enough time to breathe, but that will be due to the awful writing of the show. So yeah, I think maybe an hour long episodes, maybe something like that. And yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Would you welcome? Because I have this theory that the original 30-minute format would work now. Would you watch something of 30 minutes per episode? So you had a story which was split like it was in my day, 4 parts over 30 minutes, maybe twice a week.
Oh yeah. I could do that happily. Yeah, totally. Yeah, if there was a proper, competent production team and all that behind it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? Because they seem
Yeah.
to think that you guys can't watch anything that. I mean, and yet I always say to them, well, they tune into blooming Hollyoaks.
Well, yeah, all
And
that,
that's
all
about
that
30
stuff. Yeah.
minutes an episode, I think, nowadays, or it used to be. And certainly something like Corrie or EastEnders, which people allegedly watch.
Oh,
They're all
gosh.
25 to 30 minutes as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I think they could. Yeah, I think I would definitely. What? Yeah, absolutely.
And
Um.
and as somebody that you who grew up with the reboot is who as well,
Yeah.
would you want all the what I call the soap opera elements still in a future Doctor Who, i.e., the families and we're always returning to Earth and all that stuff?
No, we're focusing a bit too much on it. I don't like that we keep going back to modern sort of day on Earth. 2024, 2025. We need to get away from that. Companions being from the again the modern era. No, let's try and get some different companions from different. They can still be from Earth if you'd like, but different sort of decades and different times, and we need something refreshing. It's just become stale. They all act the same. I don't see any difference between Rose Tyler and Ruby. They're pretty
Yeah,
much the same thing.
they are.
You
Well,
know,
they're exactly the same, more or less carbon copies of each other.
yeah. There's nothing different.
Yeah,
Pick someone up from a different time. A
yeah,
different planet. Sort of make it interesting.
yeah.
And that's one thing I'll say about this. Now, I'm just thinking about it now. Is this next season? As I do like the fact that clearly this companion doesn't want to travel with the Doctor. She wants to get home,
Right.
which is I think is they're sort of different to get back to. Rather than always going, oh yeah, I want to come along, Doctor. Have someone that doesn't really want to be there. Kind of a lot like sort of Tegan back,
Oh,
back in the day, who
yeah.
never.
Oh, I'm very aware of Tegan wound me up because she didn't want to be there for 2 years. She more or less didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
it was quite.
I was getting to the end of season 19, and spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen Time Flight, but I was absolutely delighted at the end of Time Flight when she stays. I was
Yeah,
absolutely thrilled. And then a part of me got quite a bit upset because I thought, oh, we're not going to see her again. So when she comes back in Arc of Infinity, which the production office at the time had announced, don't worry, Tegan's coming back.
right.
I was glad that she'd mellowed a bit because that's the danger with somebody that doesn't want to be in the TARDIS and is stuck
Yeah,
there. It can grate. It can become quite annoying. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes if that's what this new companion is up to, because I
yeah,
think that could
totally.
get very and of course these days you've only got 8 episodes.
Yeah, that's going to be the real struggle. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
totally.
So
And is it going to be the same character from Boom, or is it a different character?
it's a different character, totally different character. This one's her name is Belinda something or other.
Okay, right.
So she's from modern day Earth, and surprise, surprise,
Yeah,
and totally different characters than the one she played in Bloom. They'll probably throw something in, won't they? They're so predictable that she's related. She's the
yeah, somehow.
great grandmother of whomever that was in
Yeah,
Boom, and just happens to retain the face structure.
totally.
they'll,
Yeah.
they'll probably write something in along that to think that they're clever because they do think they're clever. But
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah,
I think if you've got 8 episodes of a companion going, I don't want to be here, get me home. I think that sort of story arc is going to be very, very tired by episode 4. You need to get rid of
yeah,
it by the second or the third episode, where the companion would turn around and say, well, actually, I'm quite enjoying this. Forget that. Where are we going next? Oh, you don't know, do you?
yeah.
Do you know
I'm
what I
hoping
mean?
they do go down that sort of route. I hope not all 8 episodes she's trying to scratch her way out of the TARDIS and get away. I am hoping she sort of, from what we've sort of seen, I think she sort of gets into it a little bit. Some of the leaked sort of footage that's out there. I think she hopefully gets sort of involved and quite enjoys it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see that you sort of, because you're more interested in it than I am. I have to be honest. I have no faith in it at all. I'm really not interested in it at all. But you're sort of you're not looking forward to it exactly, but you're interested in it. You're going to be there to do that, and you've got some theories
Yeah,
about it, which is nice, which is great. But it's more than I've got. I just don't care. I just really
yeah,
don't care. I mean,
yeah.
they could say tomorrow, oh well, the result of this thing has been so bad, we're not going to screen the episodes. I wouldn't lose any sleep.
No, yeah, like I said, I will watch it, and I am hoping it will be an improvement. I know it won't, but I'm hoping so.
This is what we call
But
optimism, Who viewers. It's
yeah,
optimism here.
yeah, but yeah, like you say, I mean, if it came out tomorrow that they went, oh no, we can't be bothered, we're just going to cancel it, I'd go, all right, okay, cool, no problem.
Meh.
Yeah,
Meh.
that saved me 8 episodes of torture.
Yeah, it's
And
not going to
yeah,
happen though because they've paid for it, so the Bloom are going to put it out there. It just remains to be seen how they do it. You know, I think they'll retain that thing where they put it on the iPlayer at midnight and the BBC One at some point on the Saturday the day. I can actually see it being put on in the sort of quiet slot of 5:25, to be honest, so they can just say it's on.
like at Christmas, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think they will. I think they'll just lob it out there.
They're certainly not going to put it on in the showcasing spot of 7 o'clock.
Oh no, because it's not bringing in the views. Well,
Exactly.
they're saying it is. But it's not. The views aren't there.
No,
It's sort of an embarrassment now, sort of for the BBC at this point. They're not going to put it on prime time at all. No way.
no.
No
It's going to be
way.
interesting to see where it's going, isn't it? Really, I do think it'll
Oh
be on
yeah,
around about 5:25 or something silly like that, so they can just say there it is if it's on a Saturday at all, which I think it will because RTD loves his Saturday shows because he
like
thinks it's
Saturdays.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he
and
had massive successes with it back in the in his original series. It was a huge hit. Doctor Who on a Saturday night, 7 o'clock was Doctor Who time. It even
yeah,
beat Anton Deck several times for several years. You know
yeah.
that was a huge thing to do.
Yeah, but I mean, back then it was decent. You actually had good actors and good stories and monsters, and
Proper
that's when
drama.
it was actually enjoyable to watch it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think they know it's a lot of rubbish, and that's why they're chucking it out at midnight because no, they know the general public aren't going to watch it. They're not going to sit down at 7, 8 o'clock at night and put on Doctor Who.
No, no, those days
It's
are
not going
gone,
to
aren't they?
happen.
It's so
Yeah, it's
sad.
not going to happen.
Well, as a wise old man once said, time will tell. It always does.
Yeah.
So, listen, we've come to the end of our time together. Myles, I want to say a huge thank you for coming onto Whose Views and to Chit Chat and just spending an hour with me. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, and thank you so much for sharing what you think about the series. I hope it's been therapeutic for you as well.
It has. It's been really fun. I really enjoyed myself.
Well, that's great. Again, from me, just thank you so much, and thank you for supporting the channel. Keep in touch.
Thank you.
And yeah, to you all watching as well, please thank Myles. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, please make sure you still subscribe to the channel. Let you know what you think of this and what Myles' points of view has brought to your mind in the comments below. And stay tuned. If you'd like to take part in Chit Chat, you can. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. And you never know, we may get to see Myles again at some point in the future on a sequel show, maybe, where you can tell us what you thought of
Hope so.
Series 2. Oh, no, brilliant, Myles. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again. Until we see you on Whose Views next time, thank you very much, everybody. Stay tuned,
Bye,
as an
guys.
old friend of mine used to say. We'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Ta.